Good afternoon. Welcome to the Social Climate. And we have my man here, Sales and Farness representing. And we got a very interesting topic for you guys today. We're going to talk about church. And for those of you guys who really grew up in the church, this is a good conversation for you. So I'm going to let you, let you start it off. Tell me a little bit about your experience with church. You know what I mean? Good things, bad things. Let us have it.
So I grew up in the church,
Mm-hmm.
Presbyterian from Pittsburgh. So I grew up in a black church in Homewood,
Yeah.
and my experience was strong. I had a church family.
Yeah.
They were loving. We were attending church pretty much every week. I didn't really miss church.
Yeah.
We were going to Sunday school, and initially growing up, it was a good family feeling.
Yeah.
Us going to church and all that. As time went on, I got older, and I started looking at things that was going on.
Yeah.
I noticed the church was breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
We were changing pastors. The attendance was going down.
Yeah.
People in Sunday school was going down.
Yeah.
Everything started going down, and I wasn't really questioning it because my faith was strong.
Yeah.
But I noticed the church was going down, and people talking
So
in the church.
hold on. So the church was changing pastors. Like what happened? The pastor just retired, or
The pastor who was there moved on, and
Yeah.
there was a big controversy about who's going to be the next pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy they picked, who some may say was the right choice, some may say it was the bad choice, but it was the pastor, it was the preacher.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, the church changed.
So they didn't really. So everybody didn't just agree like it was ordained from God. Like this guy's cool. Come on, preach. Welcome in, pastor. It was people that really didn't want him in the church. Weren't sure if they wanted him, wanted somebody else.
Right.
Making it sound like a business.
Right.
Like, what about into your adulthood? Like, as far as now, how do you look at religion? Where are you at spiritually?
All right, so how I've moved on is I still believe in God. I still believe in the prophets.
Yeah.
I've read stories, and I know that some of the prophets in the Bible, the names of the people are not the real people.
Yeah.
And I've just read a lot of information that basically telling me that I still do believe in the Bible itself,
Mm-hmm.
but the stories have changed.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into Buddhism. I've read about it. I've learned about Judaism, which is the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned about the Quran, and I've been able to bring it full circle.
Yeah.
But I've realized that me choosing Christianity and the church,
Yeah.
it just starts from a Catholic background.
Yeah. So those of you guys, man, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm gonna give a little bit of my experience about as far as church. When we get into like Christianity and the Catholic background, we're brothers. I actually was born in Cameroon, West Africa. When we came to the United States, he was born in America. So my first experience in church was in Africa in a Presbyterian church. The area where we are in West Africa and Cameroon was colonized, and the missionaries who came to that area, we're Presbyterian. So coming to America, United States, and going to the Presbyterian church, and then even on top of that, going to Catholic school was a whole different experience. I went from going to school where everybody in the school was black.
Right.
In the neighborhood I grew in, we was in a minority community and all that. We didn't have too many white kids in the school. To go into a junior high where I was the only black kid in the school, and on top of that, it was a Catholic school, and then on top of that, all the books they had. I'm looking in the books, I'm flipping through all the characters in the book. Look like everybody in the class, all the white people. So I'm thinking, well, these people supposed to be in the area where it was hot.
Right.
I'm reading about like this don't make sense to me. So that always frustrated me about church. Just the image of Jesus. I'm just gonna be honest. The white Jesus they portray.
Right.
Nothing against any race of people, but I know there's scripture in the Bible that says in Revelations that says, skin of bronze. You know what I mean? Burnt bronze at that, if anything. But not to make a big deal about it, but it just always disturbed me how people go out of their way to change the image or whatever, from what it originally was, or portray it in a certain way. And we know that that's kind of led to slave men of people, a group of people thinking they're lesser people, looking up as another group of people as their God and all that kind of stuff. And so that always frustrated me with religion.
Right.
I've always, now that I'm older, when I go to church and I listen to some of the things that the pastor's preaching, I'm like, man, he could be talking about some more things that could be building money in the community.
Right.
And I want to feel good and go home for the week. You know what I mean? But I'm like, we're the leaders, right? We're the Malcolm X's, Martin Luther, all these people that was really connecting the church with the community.
Right.
So where you felt like your church life was connected to your home life.
Right.
Nowadays, it almost seems like people just going for a show.
Right.
Be entertained for an hour or two. Church is, very, very difficult. And you got all these different religions clashing and different things like that. I've kind of even started researching and looking more into like Judaism, and a lot of people call it Hebrew, the Hebrew Israelites and all this kind of stuff. I haven't really gone and gotten with any of those groups, but it really interests me to look at the history of the ancient language and how you had Latin, and Latins went into Africa and were studying the ancient languages and stuff like that, and the religions, and the Hebrew come out of them studying the African languages and African religions.
Right.
So you had like Bantu tribe and some of these Igbo, all of these African tribes. If you go do your research, a lot of these tribes were like Hebrew tribes.
Right.
And we know that the Bible takes place, most of it, Old Testament, in Africa anyway. And so do your research. We're just saying out there. We're just saying to you out there. We're not here to preach to you. I believe in the Most High, and I definitely believe in all the prophets. And I'm more than open to always looking and reading to see if something's true or not, wherever it comes from.
Right.
Because I have a mind, I was blessed with a mind from the Most High God to be able to discern the truth. And we can't just keep blindfolders on. You know what I mean? Keep our head in blindfolders and only look at that one thing, when we know that man is out here and there's some people are not trying to do good.
Right.
He could be out here trying to trick you. So keep your eyes open and always pay attention. Don't have your blindfolders on. As far as church goes, do your tithe, but make sure your church is being involved in the community. Any other aspects of church? I remember one time there was a fight in the church, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. I remember you were telling me.
I don't remember all the details.
Yeah.
Because it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But I do remember the fight in the church.
Yeah.
And that's just a crazy story, man. And thinking about what you're saying, and what I want to build upon is what I feel as though what's going on in the church is we're too focused about telling old stories.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about what's happening in the community week to week.
Yeah.
The church is not really too worried about the congregation during church.
Yes.
We're giving praise to God. We're singing songs. We're telling stories from the Bible.
Yeah.
But we're not discussing building the community at church and making the church stronger.
Right. Right.
The way the church is going about that, I think, may need to be a little bit restructured.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to tell the story from the Bible.
Right.
But the whole length of church and the people within the church that are struggling, that needs to change.
Seems like it's not feeding like the needs of all the people.
Right.
It seems like the men is lost out of, they're not in the equation.
It's almost hard to go to church and see a church that's full of more men than women.
Men, where we at? Why ain't we in church? I know. For me, it's definitely not the same as when I was younger.
Men are woke, bro.
Yeah.
Men are woke. Let's just say that. Men are woke.
When I'm listening to the pastor, and I don't want to insult the pastor and say too much of what I think he should be doing because he's the leader of the church. But sometimes when I go in there, I just don't feel like a lot of needs are being addressed.
Right.
And sometimes when you step up, you get a lot of people that want to squash you back down. Right. So it's hard to step up and say, well, this ain't what's supposed to be. People can tell you, why don't you step up and be a deacon?
Right.
Well, why don't you step up and be a pastor and preach since you got so much to say about it? But it ain't always that easy if you've been in church.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Go up in there and ask the church to kind of go and add things to their agenda other than what kind of is going on regularly in the church. And so I know there is definitely a fight in the church because some people, I heard a pastor the other day actually talking about, lies in the Bible and stuff like that, and being able to discern and talk about it. And as we're talking about the white image of Jesus, like some people are still kind of like caught up on that. I always wondered, why is there a black and a white church? You know what I mean? Why is there separation as far as race in church? Because God's supposed to transcend any color, right? It don't matter what color you are. You know, black, white, red, orange, right? Like we all came from God. We all supposedly came from Adam. So I always had an issue. Another thing was with the separation in church is how can we have churches where like we only having, maybe it's community. It could be community based though, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people who or have this specific ethnicity live in this community. So most of them attend that church.
Right.
Right. And maybe people in that area, attend this church because, they live in that area.
Right.
But then you still have to ask yourself why the neighborhood separated.
Right.
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 Right. Segregation ended in the 60s. So when it comes to church, whether you Catholic, Presbyterian, no matter if you're Christian or you practice Islam or you're a nation or Buddhism, or just make sure that you take your spirituality seriously. As I always say, look into it, investigate, do your research, and don't go around with blinders on. All right. Once again, it's Fawness and Sales signing off from Social Climate. Have a good evening.
Also, want to add on that if you're going to be a Christian, be the best Christian. And when I was growing up as a Christian and I was dedicated, I was also making mistakes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about anybody choosing their religion and saying their religion is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
However you find God is how you find God.
Yeah.
But be serious about your passion.
Right.
Don't say you're going to find God and then you're gossiping in the back of the church, or whenever you leave church, you're going back to your life. Right. I'm not perfect, so I'm not going to say go be perfect.
Right.
What I'm going to say is if you're going to be within the church, don't represent white Jesus.
Right.
Represent yourself.
Right.
I mean, God came here to save us.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be focused on the image. Focus on the message.
Yeah. Another point too, man. If you're going to be practice a religion, respect that religion. Don't take a religion and start twisting, putting your own beliefs into it, and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of things that's going on in Christianity and other religions too, where they're adding stuff in that doesn't even fit in with the religion.
Don't add.
If you're gonna be this, I feel you can be that, be who you want to be. If you're gonna be within this religion, be within that religion. Don't try to take things that fit outside the religion and squeeze them in the religion and change it. Teach his own. Maybe you create new doctrine, I guess. But if you're going to practice religion, respect that religion. So I think that's all I got to say. So once again, you guys take care. Have a good one. Bless.
Bless.